I quit my job and I'm currently unemployed at 34 with 2 kids. Crazy. I feel quite nervous filming this video, partly because I've been thinking about filming this video for about a week now, every single day. And 2, I have always wanted to be on YouTube. I've always wanted a podcast. So actually sitting down and filming a YouTube video feels really exciting, and I'm nervous, and just thank you for being here. So whether you're here because you follow me on Instagram and you just want to know all the details and you want to know what the heck you quit your job, tell me all about it. Or maybe you've just stumbled across this video because you're in a season of life where you feel stuck, or you want to quit your job and you just want a little bit of guidance, or you want to hear someone else's story. Thank you for being here. I'm excited and nervous and feeling quite empowered to share my story. And I think that this story wouldn't make too much sense if I didn't go back all the way to the beginning of me working full time. So I'm going to break this YouTube up into little segments. I'm going to talk about my backstory, my career before working this particular 9-to-5 that I quit. I'm going to talk about my entrepreneurship era before this 9-to-5, the 9-to-5 itself, and what ultimately made me quit. And the reason why I want to go through these few stages is, as I'm reflecting back on my entire working career, there's little glimmers in each section of my life and each season of my life that ultimately were puzzle pieces that came together that made me realize that quitting this job is going to be the best decision I've ever made in my life so far. And to get to this point, I was listening to a lot of podcasts, I was reading books, watching YouTube videos. So I'm going to leave all the ones that were really pivotal for me in the description below. So after this, you can go listen to them if you feel called to. So let's get into it. The backstory. I am 19 and I have decided to enroll in beauty college, and I'm working full-time at Novo Shoes at Westfield. I felt really called to step into something like beauty or hair or makeup because I just wanted to help women feel their best. And I know, as someone who loves beauty and hair and clothes, that when I have those things for myself, I just feel like a better person. I feel confident, and it just was really important to me that I could give back in some way to help women feel beautiful and feel confident. So that's why I went down that era. And then I had started, and my state manager pulled me aside and said, Sam, we can't afford to pay you casual hourly rate because you're over 18. So you either need to quit beauty college and continue on working full-time with us, or you need to quit Novo and find somewhere else to work. Looking back now, I can't believe they even asked me to make that decision, but it is what it is. So I went on Facebook. Instagram didn't exist yet. I went on Facebook and I just put up a status saying, if anyone's workplace is looking for employees, please message me. I need to work part-time. Someone messaged me that I went to school with, and he's like, I work at a dealership. There's heaps of positions open at the minute. Send through your resume. So I did. I heard back straight away. I went in for an interview thinking I'm going to work part-time on reception or in admin or something like that. And when I met the HR guy, he's like, I actually think you'd be really good in sales. And I was like, sales? I don't think I can do that. He showed me the position. It was the aftermarket sales position. So if you've ever bought a car, you buy the car and then you meet somebody that sells everything else, like the window tint, protection, personalized plates, warranties, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't know. And then he told me the income, and I was sitting there and my jaw dropped to the floor because it was 3 times more than what I'd ever earn in retail or being a beauty therapist. And I grew up extremely poor. Food and money was a scarcity. I'm not going to get into it too much, but we grew up very poor. So I never had in my sights that I could earn good money or that I could ever buy a house or any of those things. I finish my interview and I go downstairs and I've got to do this personality test. The dealership always got you to do like this personality test, make sure that you're a good fit and like know how to manage you properly and stuff like that. There was this girl I was sitting next to and she was a couple years older than me and she looked so stylish in her corporate clothes. She was on her laptop and she was singing away and I was like, that chick's cool. I didn't realize that she was actually going to be my mentor and train me in that position. So I quit beauty college thinking, well, I put it on hold thinking I'll go back to it. I'll just save a bit of money and then I'll go back to it so I can afford to pay for my beauty college. I never did. But this woman, her name is Jen, and I feel like I need to message her or call her after I film this because she was such a pivotal moment in my life and she still inspires me to this day. And you may know her as the Blue Boys. Her dogs got Instagram famous and eventually she was able to quit her job and she started a business selling matching dog and human pajamas. And yeah, she's just so inspiring. And while I worked with her, she bought a house, she was traveling the world, and she made me realize that there was this whole other world outside of my personal money story and what I saw growing up. I ended up doing that career from 20 until 29, but after a couple of years, this is one of my puzzle pieces, the dealership asked if I could run their Facebook page. They wanted to get into Facebook marketing. And I was like, yeah, fun, I'll do that. And I ended up winning awards year after year in both sales and Facebook marketing. The page was growing, there was heaps of engagement, I had so much fun doing it. Around about 29, I decided I want to be an influencer and I was just for fun and I started posting my outfits that I was wearing to work onto an Instagram page. COVID hit and I could not sell to people who have just lost their jobs. I'm not a ruthless salesperson. If someone couldn't afford it or they genuinely didn't need something, I can't sell to people like that. Like I'm just not that person. So when COVID hit and people were trading in their luxury cars for $500 cars just to get the money back so that they could survive because they've been stood down or they had to close their business, I couldn't go over there and sell them a $1,500 warranty. I just couldn't. And so I quit and I knew that I had a fair bit of savings and I'll just figure it out. I always seem to just figure it out. I messaged my friend Paris, another pivotal person in my puzzle piece, and she owns a dental practice. And I knew that a lot of her friends owned businesses. So I just reached out to her and said, if you know anyone who's looking for like a receptionist or something, like I'm a fast learner, la la la. And she said, Sam, I really need a receptionist. Can you come in for an interview? So I went in, ended up working for her part-time, and I found out I was pregnant with Freya. And I'm so glad that that transition happened because I was so tired and it was really nice to just work part-time while I was pregnant. Within like a couple of weeks working there, Paris said to me, Sam, can you manage my personal social media and grow it like you grew yours? And can you please do our business Instagram? I'm like, yeah, of course. While I was at the dentist and I was pregnant, I hit 10,000 followers on Instagram and my pregnancy fashion kind of blew up and it was really cool and I was getting more collaborations and it was just fun. It was a good time, but I still didn't see social media as my full-time job. And so I've had Freya. I'm going to put my coffee down for this. I had Freya. And if you're a mum, you probably know this feeling so well. The minute she was born, my entire perspective on life changed. I was not only a new woman, but everything that mattered to me prior to that moment didn't matter anymore. And I looked at her and I was just like, I can't go back to work. Maybe one day, but I cannot. Paris was messaging me saying like, oh, can you come back? We haven't been able to replace you. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, no. I'm just going to enjoy my maternity leave and I'll figure it out later. And about 2 months after she was born, a small business who I had collaborated with previously messaged me saying, hey, can you help me grow my page like you've grown yours? I didn't know how much to charge. I Googled it and charged way too little, but I didn't care because I was at home with my baby who's either sleeping or on the boob and I thought, this is fun, how cool. So now I'm entering into my entrepreneurship era, not realizing I'm even entering into that era. After about a week, she had told a friend, and a friend who also owned a small business reached out to me and said, hey, I've been speaking to blah, blah, blah. And she said how much time you freed up for her and she can already see momentum. Can you please do the same thing for me? I'm like, yeah, cool. How exciting. And then a third referral. And I was like, wait a second. Have I just started a business? And I did a heap of research and I set up my business ABN. I set up a website and email and all of that. I was like, whoa, this can actually be something. And then my sister who owns the Bento Buzz reached out to me. She's like, Sam, come film, like I'll hire you, la-di-da-di-da. Within like 6 months, I was fully booked out. And my sister Peter was another big pivotal part in this puzzle because I watched her start a business from her garage and then it had turned into this huge thing while she's raising her babies. And I'm like, women, like we really can do whatever we want. We really, truly can. And the only thing holding us back is this. Then I was comfortable enough to leave Freya's dad and we moved back to the Gold Coast. I grew up on the Gold Coast and I had moved up to Brisbane during that relationship with him. So I moved back to the Gold Coast. Freya and I had our own little apartment with a water view and I had it on my vision board before I moved out. And I was like, I need to look at water in this healing process. And I don't know why I walked into this apartment with so much confidence. I was a freelancer and like a fresh freelancer with income that was good, but like you're a sole trader. I have no like pay slips or anything like that. And I've walked in there and I've said to her, I need to live here. I need you to help me do whatever it takes to tell the owner I need to live here. And she's like, yep. And I got the keys and I moved on in and it was crazy. And Freya and I, it was just amazing. I put her into daycare a few days a week and then I worked. I was on cloud 9. All of those little pivotal moments from 20 until 31 all led up to having this massive confidence and this ability to just make it work. Then I met Jared and we fell in love hard and fast. And he never told me I couldn't do a single thing. He believes in me wholeheartedly. And I actually watched a video from Leila, Harmozi, and she says that your relationship is either going to make you or break you. And I feel that in my soul because my previous relationship, I wasn't like, who am I to think I can have these big goals and dreams? Like, who even am I? Who do I think I am? Whereas Jared is like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. You put your mind to it, you make it happen. So that just amplified that entrepreneurship era. And I decided to hire Jade full time. I had my little sister working for me part-time before she moved to Tasmania, and I rented a warehouse and started a content studio. And it went really, really well. And then I fell pregnant really fast with Jared, and I didn't realize how hard that pregnancy was going to be. I ended up having HG. HG is like severe pregnancy nausea, so I was vomiting about 10 times a day. I ended up hospitalized a lot, and instead of getting Jade on to help grow my business, I essentially had Jade on to keep it afloat. I had to give her all of my clients. I was too sick to do anything. I wasn't able to put my all into growing the content studio. It was getting bookings, 5-star reviews. It was great, but that was all through referrals. We didn't have the manpower to pump it out. I was using my savings to keep Jade employed and all of these things, and it felt like breaking point. And then I got severe preeclampsia and Hamilton came 7 weeks early and I actually almost died. And that switch that I had with Freya when she was born, the same thing happened with Hamilton, but 10 times more intense. I'm looking at this 1,500 gram baby in NICU thinking nothing else matters. This big business that I thought I wanted doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And my world got thrown upside down. Got to about 10 months postpartum and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I haven't taken any maternity leave. And that feeling that I was holding on to when he was born, I almost ignored it. And I just kept pushing through and pushing through. So I found someone to take over the lease for the warehouse and I closed it. It was really hard to do. I just swallow my pride, swallow my ego. I had to put Jade on part-time and I cancelled majority of my clients and was like, I'm going to finally take maternity leave. So that was October 2024. And I was just chilling, enjoying life, and the rise of UGC was coming. Now, all of my social media clients, I created content for as part of our social media package, and the term UGC didn't exist. I was just a content creator. But this rise of UGC came, and a lot of businesses who had collaborated with me in the past wanted to book me to make video ads for them. So I was like, cool, yeah, I'll just do that here and there. I can never do anything half-assed. I ended up fully booked out as a UGC creator and I burnt out so hard because I desperately needed to recover from all of that birth and pregnancy, and I ended up having 2 cesareans with him because there was complications with the first. I never let myself breathe and I reached burnout and I stopped it altogether. I thought my solution, which is now going into being employed by somebody else, I thought my solution was I just need to work for someone else. Maybe I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. This is too stressful. And I thought if I can just go to work and I clock in and I clock out when I leave work and I don't have to think about work, then I can be a present mum and I get paid on the same day every week and the same amount and it's consistent. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe that's the balance I need. I'm getting quite emotional now and I'm trying to just take a minute, take a breather. This whole YouTube video is bringing up so many emotions for me and I didn't think it would. So I do up my resume and Jared thinks I'm absolutely batshit crazy. He's like, Sam, you're not made to work for someone else. You're made to work for yourself. Maybe just take a break. You don't need to work. It's fine. I've got us. You don't need to work. And maybe it is my money story growing up of being so painfully poor and being in that scarcity mindset that I have to do something. Or maybe it's feeling like when it was just me and Freya, I only had me to rely on. I didn't have like parents to fall back on. I'm no contact with them. I know that my sisters, they'll take me in a heartbeat, but there's something in me that's like, I have to do something. I've never truly slowed down. So I did up my resume and I knew I didn't just want any job. I needed a job that fulfills me. I need some purpose. I need to be helping somebody. Being a social media manager freelance, it might not seem like a whole lot on the outside, but I was helping women with their purpose. I was helping women be seen. I was helping women make sales. I was helping women put food on their table for their families, and that felt so good. So I started applying for social media jobs and I got a couple, but they were for agencies and it just didn't feel right. So I ended up saying no, and then Proud Poppy popped up. And I collaborated with Proud Poppy in their first year of business when I was pregnant with Freya. And I've been a customer of theirs and I love Tara. I love what she's doing and making women helping them feel confident and beautiful regardless of their size. So I was like, this just feels right. And I applied for it and I remember looking, it was like 149 other people have applied for this job. I'm like, I'm not going to get this. She's not even going to see it. I'm going to get lost. And I sent my resume in and then the next day she messages me on Instagram. She's like, Sam, was that you that applied for a job? Because I swear I saw your name pop up, but I can't find your resume. And I was like, yeah, it was me. And I was like, do you want me to email it over? And she's like, yep. So I emailed it over, and I'm like, what? This is so cool. She called me like 10 minutes later after sending that email. She's like, when can you come in? I'm like, today or tomorrow? And she's like, yep, come in today. So I went in that afternoon, and I was with her for 25 minutes, and I left with the job, and it felt so aligned and so perfect. And I started the next week. The kids were in daycare. Hamilton was in daycare 2 days a week, and Freya was in 3 days a week. And so I ended up having to put them in 5 days a week for this job. And I was so excited, and I let Jade know, and she just continued to work for my businesses, pretty well taking full control of all of those that were just still in my name. And I went into Proud Poppy. I got in there and I loved it. Like, I, hand on heart, loved it so much. And I loved the community. My colleagues were so beautiful. I felt welcomed straight away. Tara's vision, everything. Like, I'd be making content, getting emotional, and I'd be reading the comments from people saying that like her clothes were changing their lives. And it felt so good that I said no to those other jobs that didn't feel aligned, and actually went and got a job that did feel aligned. And it really filled my soul, like filled my soul, and it fueled my purpose. And I was really tired. I have ADHD, and I was really struggling to get the kids out the door and be somewhere at a certain time, especially because I'd never worked for somebody whilst having kids. I've always worked for myself. So if it was a stressful morning, I could just start a little bit later. I could work at night when they're asleep. So it was a big transition for me and for the kids, and also for Jared, because I was getting home so tired. And I'm like, it's fine, I'll get used to it. And then it's been a month, and I'm getting more tired. I'm like, no, it's fine, I'll get used to it. And it gets to month 2, and I am falling asleep on my lunch break, and then other things started happening. I was like hurting all over. My hair was falling out. I was shitting like 5 times a day. My mouth had a weird taste in it, and my gums started bleeding. My period came, and it lasted 2 months, and I was like, my body, there's something not right. So I went to the GP. He just keeps calling, Sam, we've got your results, you need to come in. So I've gone in, and she's let me know, 1, my iron was low and my zinc was low, but also I have lupus. And I didn't even know what that was. I remember hearing it because Selena Gomez has it. And I was like, okay. And she kind of explained what it is, which, if you don't know, your body confuses its healthy cells and its bad cells, and it attacks your healthy cells, it's not good. There's also no cure for it. And I drove to work after that appointment, and it kind of hit me, and I called Jared, and I was crying on the phone to him because I felt so confused. And then I've walked straight into Tara's office, and I've let her know. By that stage, quite upset. And she was really supportive, like, whatever you need, if you need to go to appointments or blood tests or whatever, it's fine. And Jared was like, are you going to quit your job? And by this stage, it would be around about the 3-month mark. And I was like, no, I don't want to give in to the lupus. I'm going to have this for life. And I'm scared that if I give in to the pain now, I'll never get out of bed again. That was my thought process. Work's still going great. I'm loving it. It's amazing. The kids actually are now like flourishing in daycare because they're there so often. And then it got to about month 4, and I started to realize that I was giving 99% of me to my job, and my family were getting 1%. Because I was in so much pain, and I had to keep it together at work, that by the time I got home, I wasn't playing. I was angry and frustrated and so sore, and I couldn't handle being a mum anymore. And I was turning into a mother that was disconnected and tired. I had that growing up, and I never envisioned that for myself. And Jared just kept saying, just quit. Like, I think he said it to me so many times. He was probably getting so frustrated. And then I started listening to podcasts on the way to work about like anything self-development. And I listened to more and more and more. I started to realize that this isn't for me. This isn't my purpose at all. And so I had decided I'm going to quit. And I told Jared, maybe I'll just push through and I'll work right up until Christmas and I'll save as much money as I possibly can so that Christmas isn't stressful. It's like, okay. And I started really turning within. What do I want? What is my purpose? Okay, no more crying. I put into GPT, what in my life do I love and what in my life do I not like? And the what I like part, it was like obviously family time, being a mother, being able, like present and able to go on date nights and be a good partner and have a really beautiful relationship, have a clean home. That was the other thing. I was starting, the house was getting overwhelming because I was too tired to do laundry and all these things were piling up. ChatGPT like spat out something so obvious and it was my light bulb moment. I clearly want to help women, and everything in my journey up until turning 34, from 19 to 34, everything I did was about helping women. And my Instagram page was always about helping women in some way or another. My business was about helping women. Going to beauty school was about helping women. Social media management for me meant helping women achieve their goals. And all of these puzzle pieces were clicking together, click, 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 click. And all of the women in my life, from Jen who trained me in aftermarket, to Paris who owned a business who employed me, to my sister running her own business. I forgot to mention that I bought a house at 21 and everyone in my life was like, who do you think you are? Poor little girl, you can't buy a house, like that's crazy. And my friend Brooke had just bought a house and I messaged her saying like, how did you buy a house? Everyone's telling me I can't do it. And she told me, put your blinders on and ignore the outside noise. If you want something, you can do it. So all of these little things and all these empowering women in my life. And then obviously when I was social media manager, freelance, watching all these women with these businesses chasing their dreams, I realized in that moment, why don't I use my social media skill set for myself? Why don't I use it for me now? It's okay. It's okay to choose me. And if you've made it this far, I want you to know it's okay to choose you. And it is okay to create a life that feels so dreamy and so aligned. And it's okay to come home to yourself. It's okay to strip away all of the layers of the stories that you've told yourself that you're not capable for whatever your dreamiest life is. Because it's there and it's available to us, and there's truly no reason to not just go after that thing that lights you up. I'm at 5.5 months at Proud Poppy, and I can feel my nervous system is so dysregulated, and I have PTSD, I have complex PTSD, and I have high functioning anxiety. So I've done a lot of therapy, and I am very hyper aware of my emotions and how that plays out in my body. My acne flares up and my period goes askew and all of this. And so I knew I was really dysregulated and I wasn't where I needed to be. And the kids got hand, foot and mouth, and I was home with them for a whole week. And if you've had kids with hand, foot and mouth, you know it is a handful, no pun intended. They are sore, they are sooky, they're not eating, it's a whole thing. And in that week, my lupus pain, gone. My doctor had told me that stress will play a huge portion in your flare-ups with lupus, and I needed to minimize stress, and I pretty well told her she was crazy. I don't know how to do that. I work full-time, I've got 2 kids, how can I not be stressed? And I realized being a mum, whilst it is chaotic and it is full on, it is who I'm meant to be, so I don't overly find it stressful, and clearly my body doesn't find it that stressful because that pain was gone. And it was the 2 days leading up to having to go back to work, and I cried every day. I didn't want to go back. I missed my kids. I missed all of it, the chaos. I missed playing with them. And I'm crying to Jared, and I said, I don't want to go back. And he's like, finally, quit. Just quit. It's fine. We'll make it work. We'll figure it out. And I was talking to him. I was talking to my little sister, and I was talking to a couple of my girlfriends. My circle's really small, so those girls that are in my circle, they're like the elite of friends. And they all said to me, they're like, Sam, you just figure it out. You've always just figured it out. It does not matter what has happened in your life. You figure it out. So just figure it out. And it was the permission slip that I needed to go in and resign after the hand, foot and mouth. But it was a very emotional decision because whilst that job was very full on and very stressful, I, hand on heart, loved it so much. I loved going into a pink office with colleagues that were just the ultimate hype girls. I loved making content and then getting the feedback through DMs and comments that it made people feel seen. And I loved being a part of Tara's community and going to the events and seeing the women wear the pieces with such confidence and hearing their stories that Tara changed their lives forever in such a positive, powerful way. I loved being a part of that because I would love to have that impact on women myself. So I loved being absorbed into it. And I've gone into Tara and I've told her I need to quit, and I'm crying. And she's like, I can see how much pain you're in every day, and I am sad you're going, but I get it. And so I stayed on for another 4 days to make sure my team was fully equipped and ready to go. And that was it. Done. And during this process of deciding to quit and trying to find my purpose, there was 2 things I was sure of. I wanted to help women. I wanted to use my skill set to grow my own community the way that I had grown it for 5 years for other women. I wanted to reconnect with my community because for a long time there, we were really active in the DMs and really active in the comments. And I got so busy managing other people's social medias that I honestly left my community for dead. And I'm so sorry if you're watching this and you're part of my Instagram community and you've supported me since day one. I'm so sorry that we haven't had that connection that we used to have. And I'm so excited to get it back. And the other thing that I really always have wanted to do is have a YouTube channel and do a podcast. So I still don't fully know what the future has. I just know that I'm going to go for it, but with a newfound sense of balance. So the kids now from this week only go to daycare 3 days a week. They go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I am refusing to open emails, to do anything collaborative with brands, to film videos, anything. I refuse to do that on the days with them, only on my 3 allocated days. And I'm really excited to bring you along this journey in figuring out what my true purpose is in life. And I really hope that if you feel stuck where you are right now, that this is your permission slip to start thinking about your true purpose and what you want to do in life. And in the description, I'll pop that GPT prompt so you can start mapping out what your dreamiest life looks like. It doesn't have to be mansions and Ferraris and millions of dollars. Your dreamiest life can simply be waking up to no alarm, getting ready in the morning calmly, enjoying your cup of coffee, having time to do self-care, having time to go to the gym if that's what you want to do, being able to cook for your family every night, a clean home, an organized home. Maybe you are in a job, you want a career. Maybe you don't even want to work for yourself. Maybe you want to step up in your career, or you want to change jobs completely into something that feels really aligned. So when you do drop your kids off at daycare, you feel really happy where you're going. You're not going somewhere that you hate. Whatever that is, I'm going to leave everything in the description, that GPT prompt, all the podcasts and YouTube videos that I listened to that were pivotal for me. And I really hope that we can find our purpose together, and I'm so excited to bring you along this journey. If you made it this far, thank you. I know this was a lengthy video. My next ones won't be as long, unless you want them to be, but thank you. Thank you for being here, and I'm so excited. And I'll see you next week for my next video. If there's anything you want to see or hear about, please leave them in the comments. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, because it really, really supports my channel. Have a beautiful day. Bye.